The FNCS Global Championship is now over, and we just had an insane finish to cap off trios for the year. And we also got some insane news about next year, which features multiple LANs, the return of duos, a new ranked mode rework, and the return of mobile events as well. But to start the video off, I'm going to talk about the FNCS Global Championship, which saw Queasy, Murstache, and Swizzy taking home first place off the back of an insane 500-point day one. And we finally got to see Queasy win his first LAN after 2 second places in years prior. And also, there's no player who deserves a win more to me than Swizzy, because if you didn't know, Swizzy the past 2 LANs has been affected by visa issues, and in his first LAN playing with his complete team, he wins the entire thing. Swizzy, Queasy, and Murstache played absolutely insane. Day 1 they put up over 500 points, and on day 2 they did struggle a little bit. Some of the situations around them did change, so they had to adapt and adjust, and they ended up holding on and taking home the win. Then in second place we had Vanya, Pixie, and Marius on 650 points. They made it super close. They ended up battling back from down almost 200 points after day 1 and bringing it within 30 points, but they actually ended up dying to Swizzy, Queasy, and Murstache in game number 11, which gave Queasy a pretty big lead going into the last game, and Queasy ended up holding on. But Vanya, Pixie, Marius played very well in this tournament. A lot of people were kind of sleeping on this team heading into the LAN since they played pretty poorly earlier this season in the divisional cups, but Vanya, Pixie, and Marius once again proved they are one of the best teams in the world and cap off an insanely consistent year with a second place at LAN. This trio definitely had one of the best years, if not the best year in total, especially with this second place. So a really great performance to cap off the year. Then in third and fourth place, we have some very familiar faces. We have Seti and Cammy, the former duo who ended up splitting up last season and going their separate ways and qualifying to LAN on separate teams for the first time. They end up getting third and fourth. How amazing is that? Even when they're not together, they're still right there next to each other. Seti and Cammy with 2 great performances this weekend. Seti, Yapko, and Panzer were contested for a lot of the tourney on day 1 by the OCE team, Tinka, Aspect, and Kazi. So finishing third place while pretty much contested half the tournament is definitely an insane feat. And this is just once again Seti proving he is one of, if not the LAN GOAT at Fortnite. Definitely debatable with Queasy as of now, but Seti is still one of the best placing players on LAN in Fortnite. Same with Cammy, of course, who got 4th place with iDrop and Shari. Then next in 5th place, we have Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts on 518 points. The highest placing in A team and almost the only in A team in the top 10. I'm going to talk about it more in a minute, but NA definitely was very disappointing in this LAN, but Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts showed out for an A, and they did their best. They ended up getting top 5. I had them placing a little bit higher than this. I had them getting 3rd place in this LAN, and they were pretty close to getting 3rd. A couple underperformances in a couple games on day 2 really made them not get top 3. But 5th place is still a really good performance for this team to cap off their year. And definitely a good placement to cap off their comeback from season 1 this year, where they played pretty poorly and all the meme coin stuff was going on with Bolts and Rapid. Good to see this team form once again in season 3, have a really good placement on an A, get 3rd, and then get 5th at LAN. So definitely a great comeback for Rapid, Kanata, Bolts. Then in 6th place, we have Pix, Darm, and Dimas on 512 points. This is a team that started the year with 0 grand finals and end up getting top 6 in their first LAN at the end of the year. So Pix, Darm, and Dimas definitely came from out of nowhere this year and were definitely the up and coming team of the year. Pix, Darm, and Dimas with a 6th place to cap off the year is an amazing placement and definitely has them on the radar for next year as some of the top players on EU. Then in 7th place, we have another contested team. We have Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy, who also got the most eliminations in the tournament, dropping 87 eliminations while contested by Tayson, Chicho, and Riss. And this was a team that was not just only contested by one team at times, they were getting contested by 2 different teams at some times in certain points of games, and they were also just getting non-stop cleaned up at the Rangers' ruin. So the fact that Chino, Pablo, and Ferdoxy got 7th place with all of those things happening to them off spawn is definitely a testament to how good this team is. They dropped 87 kills while not even playing all of the games. If this team was uncon, who knows how well they would have done. Definitely going to be one of the what ifs of the tournament. But Chino, Ferdoxy, and Pablo Wingu definitely played very well in this tournament. Then in 8th place, we have Ping, Walks, and Malabuka. This is a team that kind of had mixed expectations going into the weekend. A lot of people had them doing really well because of how well they did on EU this year outside of last season. And a lot of people also had this team doing kind of bad because they haven't been performing well this season at all before the Global Championship and the Divisional Cups. But Pink Walks and Malibuca showed some signs on day 2 as to why they are one of the best teams in the world. They really struggled on day 1, weren't even top 15 after day 1, then on day 2 had an absolutely insane day and fly all the way up to top 8. Probably not exactly where Malibuca wanted to be at the end of the tournament, but in 8th place after where they were on day 1 is definitely a solid placement, and Malibuca definitely made a really good effort to make a comeback. Then next in 9th place, we have Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon. Now, this was a team I didn't have in my top 10 when I was making some predictions earlier before the tournament. I thought Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon were going to place around the 10th to 15th area, and I was kind of close. They ended up getting 9th, and Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon actually could have even did better than this. They had a couple games on day 2 where they just got pretty much 0 points. And if they played in-game in those games, could have definitely gotten even higher, maybe even top 5. So Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon definitely outperformed my expectations. A lot of people had them getting around this area on the leaderboard though. So Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon got it done. They ended up getting top 10. Some people thought they weren't going to get this placement. And they also outplaced a lot of really good teams as well. So definitely a really solid performance for Chap, Mr. Savage, and Rezon. Then rounding out the top 10, we have Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx on 402 points. This is definitely not who anyone had being the second highest placing in A team going into the weekend. I thought this team was going to get somewhere around top 15, maybe top 18. Because of their drop spot, I just didn't really see the drop spot helping them place very high. And Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx had an insane day 2, flying up the leaderboard, getting top 10. An insane day 2. I think they got 3rd place overall on day 2. Muzz, Shadow, and Sphinx performed really well on day 2. It kind of makes you wonder how good they could have done if they played better on day 1. But I'm glad to see they corrected a lot of their mistakes from day 1 and ended up getting top 10. Then looking at the rest of the top 20, we have a lot of surprises. We have Brazil getting 11th and 12th place. We have Phaser, PH Zen, and King getting 11th place. And Striker, Tisco, and Kadu getting 12th place. The Argentina/Brazil trios end up getting 11th and 12th. And King was just 3 points off getting 9th place, while getting griefed a lot by Gabzera's trio, another fellow Brazil team, which is insane. Brazil griefing Brazil kind of hurt them on the leaderboard. And then Tisco was also 5 points away from getting 9th as well. So we are very close to having 2 different Brazil teams in the top 10. And also, we were very close to having only one NA team in the top 10. So I honestly think Brazil outperformed NA at this LAN, considering the fact that these 2 teams had pretty much no expectations and got 11th and 12th. Phaser, PH Zen, and King were supposed to be contested and ended up getting 11th. And if they didn't get griefed, would have definitely gone top 10. And Tisco also had some really good games as well. Then in 13th place, we had Reed, Cooper, and Curly, who honestly, with the issues that they were having, getting 13th place at the drop spot they were landing first order honestly isn't even a bad placement and a very respectable placement to me. Reed was having multiple crashing issues, and we also had multiple tech pauses because of these Reed crashing issues. So definitely a great performance along with all of the circumstances that they were going through. And they also got the 3rd most eliminations in the tournament with 57. So it sucks to see these crashing issues kind of limiting how good they could have done, and also the drop spot as well. But Reed, Cooper, and Curly definitely performed pretty well. Definitely outperformed my expectations for sure. I thought they were going to place pretty poorly due to how bad I thought the first order was about to be at LAN. Then next in 4th place, we have Vico, Vino, and Flixie on 383 points. Sadly, a team that was much higher on the leaderboard going into day 2 and kind of struggled on day 2, struggled off spawn, also struggled mid-game as well, and they drop all the way down to 14th after being top 10 after day 1. It sucks because this team would have definitely placed very, very well, top 5 for sure if they were uncontested, but there's got to be a team contested at a LAN like this. There always are good teams contested at the global LANs, so it just sucks that Vico, Vino, and Flixie were one of these teams, and right under them is another team that dealt with the same type of issues. Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot end up finishing 15th place on 361 points. This is a team a lot of people had getting top 5 or even top 10. But sadly, the drop spot situation for Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot just really hurt them this weekend. They had no loot, no surge for a lot of the games, and were really just playing with no loot at all. So it sucks that Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot had to deal with these off-spawn situations. They were triple contested on day 1 for a couple times. I also don't think this trio was playing very well. I think all 3 of them underperformed at times. I really think we didn't get the best out of Cold and Peterbot this weekend, which kind of sucks to see. And this is definitely going to have a lot of people wondering if Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot should have just stuck at OXR and tried to split with Vanya instead of trying to triple contest Dystopia after it became the Alien PY. That's definitely going to be a talking point for a lot of people, but definitely a underperformance from Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot. But on day 2, they brought it back. They ended up starting day 2 on 24th place and ended up finishing in 15th place. So definitely a solid comeback for Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot, but this definitely was not the weekend we expected from them. And the underperformances don't stop there. We have Agers, Acorn, and Pollo in 16th place. A team that was predicted to get top 2, even winning on a lot of people's predictions. Acorn, Agers, and Pollo just completely fell over this weekend and pretty much dudded the entire weekend. Even in games where you thought, oh my gosh, this was the game, they're about to make the comeback, they still just didn't really perform how you would expect them to in that game. And you can point the fingers at Acorn because of the rotations or whatever, but I just think flat out all 3 of them should have performed better. 16th place for a team like this is just inexcusable, especially when they're landing a mythic AR POI. And a POI that got the mythic AR a lot of the times. It's supposed to be a 50-50 between Demons and Dystopia, and Demons ended up getting it, I think, 10 times out of the 12 games or 9 times out of the 12 games. So Acorn, Agers, and Pollo should have definitely performed better, but sometimes it happens, sometimes it just doesn't go your way, and sadly it definitely didn't go Agers, Acorn, and Pollo's way, and it sucks to see this trio go out like this and get 16th place, especially after having a really solid year on an A leading up until globals. Then next in 17th place, we had Baka, Pars, and Pump in 17th place. A really solid performance considering the fact they were contested at a pretty bad drop spot this weekend. So definitely not the worst placement for Baka, Pars, Pump. Then next we have yet another crazy underperformance. We have Queasy, Amzo, and Higgs in 18th place. This is another one that just really surprises me, kind of like the Acorn one. Queasy, Amzo, and Higgs were actually top 10 after a couple games on day 2, but then they just had dud after dud to finish the day on day 2. And sadly, they ended up dropping all the way from top 10 to 18th place. And I'm not gonna lie, I just don't know what happened to NA this weekend. I don't know if it was just a lack of preparation or the preparation wasn't good enough, or they were just kind of overestimating the lobby here. But nonetheless, NA definitely needs to hit the drawing board for next year. This is just unacceptable to have all of these teams uncontested at these drops and doing this bad. They should not be getting outplaced by some of the teams they got outplaced by. Let me know your thoughts on some of these NA underperformances and what you think happened and your thoughts on some of these teams and how they played. But quickly going over the rest of the top 20, we had Arc School and Salco in 19th place. Arc played very well this weekend and definitely got himself a lot of duo offers for next year for sure. So I'm very interested to see who Arc is about to play with in duos, especially since he played very well in this tournament this weekend. And then lastly, in 20th, we had Focus, Mixin, and Upple on 264. Did pretty well for landing Shogun. Shoguns just ended up not giving them enough, and Focus, Mixin, and Upple end up just getting 20th. But overall, Globals was super entertaining. One of the best lands Fortnite has ever had, up there with the World Cup. The atmosphere was insane if you guys saw, the French fans, the Gentlemates fans, and I'm definitely excited to see that happen again next year. Since the land will be returning to Europe. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But also this LAN had great viewership. I think it peaked at over 950,000 viewers, which is one of the highest peaks for a Fortnite tournament since the World Cup. So this was definitely one of the best LANs of all time in terms of the numbers for sure, and also in terms of the atmosphere, and definitely has me hungry for LANs next year. And speaking of LANs next year, we have the competitive roadmap and the competitive updates for Fortnite next year in 2026. FNCS will be returning to duos in 2026. That's the huge announcement we have. Then we also have some crazy other announcements as well. We are about to have a mid-chapter, mid-season LAN. So we have another LAN next year instead of the end of year LAN. Then we are about to have a new Reload Elite Series LAN. So we are going to have another Reload LAN that is not going to be the Pro-Am, because the Pro-Am is going to be returning as well. So we are going to have 2 different Reload LANs most likely, because I assume the Pro-Am is obviously going to return to Reload. So we have a mid-year mid-chapter LAN, 2 reload LANs as well, 1 for the pros and 1 for Pro AM. And then we also are going to have a $1 million mobile series as well. With the return of mobile, it definitely makes sense for Fortnite and Epic Games to capitalize on mobile coming back. So I definitely respect the decision to have a bunch of mobile tourneys. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how these go and how these perform. But definitely do not be mad. There's definitely going to be people out there that are mad that they're giving $1 million to mobile tournaments. Well, you have to understand Fortnite's trying to draw back in that audience for mobile. So it definitely makes sense for them to capitalize on the return of mobile for sure and host some big tourneys. Also, we got a huge announcement that Rank 2.0 is also going to be coming out. Now, we have no information on this yet, but I assume it's just going to be a ranked rework. We're definitely going to have to see what they do to help make ranked better. But I don't know if you guys have looked at the player counts recently. Ranked has been at pretty much 0 players. It's been pretty dead as of recent. So they definitely need to make some huge changes to ranked in order for it to be revived. Now, they did change the loot pools to match competitive. I definitely think that's a start. Then the next thing, I definitely think they need to maybe mix in ranked and mix in ranked with tournaments somehow. Maybe the divisional cups and ranked are kind of intertwined. I definitely think they need to change how the rank system works to kind of make the ranks feel more rewarding. Let me know what you guys want for Rank 2.0. Let me know your guys' wish list for Rank 2.0 and what you want to see them change. Then once again, like I said, Pro-Ams are going to return next year. And then we are also going to have LANs return to Europe next year as well. So we could potentially be seeing 4 LANs next year. We're going to be having this mid-year LAN. We're going to have a reload LAN, a reload LAN for Pro AM, and then also the end of year LAN we are used to having. So next year in 2026 is shaping up to be an absolutely insane year. And to build off of this past year we just had, which was one of the best for Fortnite competitive, drama-wise, content-wise, finishes in FNCS Grand Finals-wise, just everything-wise. This was one of the best years for Fortnite competitive ever for sure. But overall, let me know your thoughts on the FNCS Global Championship and also your thoughts on the competitive roadmap for 2026 and your thoughts on how 2026 looks as of right now. I'm sorry I didn't post a video going over my predictions for the FNCS Global Championship or anything like that, but I did come down with a sickness right before LAN and I really didn't want to push myself and kind of make the sickness linger, which it still ended up lingering over the weekend for my streams, which kind of sucks, but the LAN was still super fun to watch. And if you guys enjoyed this video going over the FNCS Global Championship and also going over the competitive roadmap for 2026, I would appreciate it if you guys dropped a like on this video, as it would get pushed out to more people if you did that and more people could see this video. And also, if you're new, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I'm gonna be back to uploading more consistently, I promise. I'm gonna be making a video about duos and the confirmed duos we have for the season soon. So stay tuned for that video by turning on notifications for sure. And I'm going to go over all the duos that we know of as of right now. But that's going to do it for me in this video, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.